Hello, everybody. This is Biz Chicks TV. This is the place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. And today we are here with Terry Johnson Online Everywhere, our social media marketing strategist, all the way from New York City. How you doing, TJ? It's great to have you in the house.
I'm doing okay. I hear my cat is making noise in the background. Welcome, BB.
We did not hear the Katie. He's all right.
How are you? How's everybody today?
All is well. You know, the
Good.
weather is much more pleasant out here in California today. How you doing this morning,
Hey,
Dr.
Touchy.
Tachi? And so we're just grateful because 110 was not cute for a couple of days. So now we're down to the 80s.
Oh,
Hmm.
lovely.
Yes. Compared to, we feel.
Okay, so good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's marketing chat. And we'll get right into it. So I was calling this using nostalgia to
Mhm.
create content.
Yes.
Right. So nostalgia marketing. And can you guess where the nostalgia? Well, first, let me give you the definition. I like to give you the definition.
Okay.
So, definition of nostalgia is a wistful or excessively sentimental yearning for return to of some past period or
Mm.
irrecoverable condition. So, it's a sentimental longing for the past, typically for a period or place where there's happy associations, where you are happy. So, can we guess why nostalgia marketing has emerged in the last year or so? Anybody want to guess? Any reason why you think the last year?
Well, I have a guess.
Let's go. Let's
I,
hear it.
I'm I'm thinking we are longing for before all of this pandemic stuff. You know, we're longing for the time
Correcto mundo.
when we could go out and not have to,
Yes,
unmask.
you
Oh,
are
we're waiting
you
for the great reveal.
you are correct.
So there it is, nostalgia. And
Yes,
now, is that the one definition you used? A
yes,
wistful
yes.
affection for the
So
past.
we could,
Okay.
we want to be on the same page. Everybody might not know what that word means. It means a simple, a yearning for the past when things were good, and
Mhm.
the
Happy.
halcyon days and everything was great and we were happy. And usually it's your childhood,
Mm.
usually.
Hmm.
But because of the pandemic, the last year, it's something that everybody has been locked down and this and that. You can't go, and we couldn't do the things we could do before. So naturally that gave the rise of TV shows from the past, music from the past. Because
Hmm.
why? Because they evoke memories. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Memories that are, and they're not bad memories, they're happy personal memories. That's the key. The happy
Oh,
memories.
this part right here at the end where it says, or place with happy personal associations.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
So it's comfort food. It's comfort food. It's music. It's movies. It's TV shows when you were a kid, where everything was warm and fuzzy, and mom or dad made you hot chocolate, and you sat in front of the TV and watched whatever show you watched, or whatever the ritual that you had as a child. So when you're in a stressful situation like we've been in the last few months, you think you want to go back to comfort. You want to go back to a simpler, happier time where everything was comfort and stability, and you knew what was what.
I wonder,
Okay.
Terry, if this is why cooking shows and showing pictures of
Yes.
homemade dishes has become
Yes.
so prevalent this year.
Yes. So
You know,
let me tell you my story. So when we
okay.
first started the lockdown last, March, it was like everybody. So I went, everybody went to the store to get stuff. I'm like, well, I'm going to get some yeast because I know how to make bread.
Uh-huh.
So I go, there is no yeast. I mean, completely. There was like
Oh, I
one little
remember
pack.
that. They were
Yeah, remember
talking about
that?
it on the news. Yes.
Right. And so there was the girl working in the store, the employee, and she was like, "Oh, there's one way in the back." So I grabbed it. I still have it because I haven't made any bread.
Well,
I still have it.
well, Dr. Taji said yes. The pandemic is the reason why all of this is
Yes.
so important to us right now. Go
Yes.
ahead. So you never made the bread.
No, I know how to make bread. I just never, because I'm busy. I was working. I'm doing stuff, and marketing. It was like a different. Everything was different, and nobody knew what was coming. So it was really unstable. So I was like, really paying attention to like what the news shows was in online. So I didn't really. I was like, I know people were making bread. And sewing, and that's why the rise of Pinterest. That's why Pinterest was so popular, and still is. It has risen in the last 18 months. Pinterest, because why? Because you can go there to learn how to bake bread. You can go there to do it yourself craft, sewing, all kind of stuff.
Yes,
arts and crafts. So that's why, because of nostalgia, because people want to feel safe. So, but what does it have to do with marketing is that, remember, emotional connection leads to growth. If your audience doesn't feel good or something negative going on, they're not going to be concerned about your brand and what you're doing and what you're saying and what you have to offer, even though they might need it, because this is the hierarchy of needs. And I think on the bottom is shelter, food, shelter, clothing, safety, that pyramid. Yeah, safety. So your your business isn't on the bottom, it's on the top. And especially depending on what industry you're in. So if you're in fashion, you're definitely at the top. And say fashion designers and all, luxury goods and stuff like that, that's at the top, unless you're really,
it's designed. It was designed to go outside of the home,
right? Unless you're Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates,
or you're doing pajamas. You could do.
They were still buying yachts, so it wasn't any big deal.
Oh, I see what you mean. Your customer, okay.
Well, I'm saying if you're in fashion and luxury goods, that's at the top. That's not something that the average person is worrying about. I've already got clothes. I've already got clothes, so I don't need any new clothes. If I'm worried about food, shelter, clothes, clothing as in I already have clothing, like having covering your body, not designer.
Especially since we weren't going into the office.
Yes,
you know what I mean. And children weren't going into the school,
right?
So they could get away with shorts in the middle of the winter, or if that T-shirt still fit, it didn't matter that it wasn't new.
Right. Is it me? Or is there an echo? Is there an echo, anybody?
I don't have an
echo. I hear myself.
Yeah, I don't have an echo.
No? Let me try my mic.
I hear you tapping the mic.
Yeah. Okay. I can hear myself in the echo.
It might be Clubhouse.
No? Let me try it. No.
And did we even say hello to everybody in Clubhouse? How you doing over there, guys? We want to give a shout out to everybody watching and everybody on Clubhouse. Linda says there's a slight.
It's like, echo. Yeah, I could hear myself talking. Let me try it again. Yeah, I can hear myself talking. Maybe
morning, Linus.
Is it still there, Linus? I'm gonna keep going because we're limited time. So, all right. So we're talking about the emotional connection because there's the good old days, warm and fuzzy feeling, comfort, and everything is good.
Yes.
So when we're talking about nostalgia marketing, and it's coming up now because there is something called the nostalgia pendulum. Let me explain that real quickly. It's a cycle. You know how fashion cycle in decades?
Yes.
So it's a 30-year gap. So guess what decade is now? Everybody's like, okay, that's the nostalgia decade. It's the 90s. The 90s. Well, 90s. A little bit of the 80s, but mostly the 90s. So because it goes 30 years.
Well, I don't even remember the 90s because I was parenting and I was too busy ripping and running.
Right, but we're gonna talk about that because it's not really about childhood per se. It's about childhood because millennials were kids then, so that's why it's a childhood attraction for them. So TV shows, TV shows, movies. I've got some examples of things that just went crazy. Like for example, there's a vintage T-shirt dealer on, I forgot, one of the platforms, and he sold an Aladdin T-shirt for $9,000.
Oh my goodness.
Was it 9,000? No, 6,000. $6,000 for an Aladdin T-shirt because of the movie merch market. Because of the movies from the 90s. So
Yes.
who was kids in the 90s? The ones that have the buying power today.
Okay, the parents and
They're becoming parents. They're buying homes. They're growing up. So the millennials are 40 now. This year, they're 40. So things are going through. Tachi. Dr. Tachi says, looking through her closet.
My closet, I feel you.
Yeah, I got some stuff
right now.
I got some stuff I'm gonna be looking for. Yeah, so $6,000. So this person was, he's a vintage movie merch. He sells that. So he was saying that before the pandemic, he couldn't sell a T-shirt for $30. And now they're flying off the shelves. But it's 90s movies, Aladdin, all of those movies. So also music is another thing that, nostalgia. As far as music, hearing a song can transport you back to a time, like I said, when you were younger, when you were happier, everything was good. You didn't have any bills to pay.
I never thought of it that way. Yeah.
You got bills to pay now, but when you were a kid, guess what? You didn't have any bills. You'd watch cartoons, you went to play, you went to school, you had your friends, right?
Exactly. I'm looking at my grandson right now.
Yeah. Right. So, and then also see what's happening now. You see a lot of TV shows like Sex and the City is a reboot now.
Oh, really?
They've had the Friends reunion. They finally had that Friends reunion that everybody was screaming for. That's a show from the 90s. Another one, Fresh Prince had their reunion, and it popular, very popular, wildly popular. So people were talking about this. There was a buzz and everything. But see, now here's the deal. What does this have to do? Oh, wait, let me give you another list. So it's retro clothing, toys and games from the past, comfort food associated with childhood, a renaissance in 1980s and 1990s music, TV, and movies, any sort of merch and antique from those periods. So we were just talking about the T-shirts. So there's lunch boxes, magazines, trading cards, posters, etc. So if you got any of that stuff stored up, and it's particularly in the 90s, but some of the other decades, because when I talk about generations, you have the boomers, you have Generation X, you have Generation Y, which is the millennials, and then you have Gen Z. So that's why I talk about that a lot. So you have to compartmentalize according to the generation. So right now, the 90s are hot with the millennials, but 80s are still good. That could go for Gen X.
I would think so. See? Yes.
Not as super hot as far as trending on TikTok and all of the other stuff. And speaking of TikTok, all of this stuff is there. They've got hashtags about I'm a 90s baby, all kind of stuff. So they're sharing all kinds of nostalgic information. Now, what does this have to do with you? You make content that gets the traction, that gets on this wave of nostalgia. Like I said, there's a few hashtags.
Okay, you starting to gym more.
Yes, Jim, we are. We are better. All right, now let's not get in the wars because they call, what are they called? The boomers, the zoomers.
Boom, 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 boom.
They're calling the boomers or the zoomers or something. So there's one generation doesn't like the others because they're old and they want them out. We don't like the younger ones because they're so wet behind the ears, snotty nose kids.
My gosh.
So we're not gonna get into that.
No, because we're fam over here.
Right, but see, what I want you to think about with nostalgia marketing, you have to be careful. It only works for one generation at a time, and you have to know that generation. You don't have to be a part of the generation. Like what's going on now with the 90s, you don't have to be a kid from the 90s, but if you remember what was hot or popular in the 90s, and you can also do research too to find out what was hot and popular. And then you tie your content from your business into this new nostalgia wave.
Okay.
See? But you have to be careful because if it's like going into a club and you don't know the secret handshake. You don't know the secret handshake? What was it on? I'm trying to think that this TV show from years ago, Little Rascals. Do you remember that Little
Oh,
Rascals?
yes, I
And they
remember
had
that.
a He-Man Women Hating Club or something, and they met the club, and they had the secret knock and all that stuff. So you have to know that because you are going to be like the old. There's a meme. Memes tie into this, which I'm not going to
Okay.
talk about, but there's a meme of Steve Buscemi. He's an actor, and he's dressed up like a teenager. He's an old guy. He's an
Mhm.
older guy, but he's dressed up like a teenager, trying to talk to the teenagers on their level. And it's a
Uh-huh.
meme. I forgot and Taji probably knows the meme. She knows what I'm talking about. But there's a meme that goes, and it's like you don't fit in because you're an old guy, but you're wearing
Talk to your own
clean
people.
clothes and you're carrying a skateboard. Come on, and I forgot there's a tagline or something. I can't remember the meme, but I know it. But that's what it is. You have to be careful when you're doing this nostalgia marketing, this content.
Mm-hmm.
Study it carefully if you don't know the decade. Like if you don't remember the 90s, go back and study the 90s.
Girl,
What
the
was the hot
90s were a
show?
blur.
What was the hot movie? What was the hot music? What was so what was the hot shows? What was the hot movies? What was the hot music? What was the hot trends? Like what was trending? And you can find that information on Google. It's not
Well, Al says
up.
this. It's about building community.
Right.
Yeah, and it's about knowing your own neighborhood too.
Yeah. So this is another way for you to create content that's popular, that gets the attention, that's trending, and it's not the same old boring stuff that everybody's sharing. But you got to know the right touch. As far as the most popular decade now is the 90s and some of the 80s. But this works with if your target audience is the boomers, this works with boomers. You just have to know what was hot and popular with the boomers. What was hot for them? What kind of memories? If you talk about something that
is big.
Yes. Oh, that's a big one. Thank you, Tachi. That's big because it has a music tie-in, also the culture, also entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And see, when people are online, they don't want to go to school. They want to be entertained. So your content needs to be something that is going to entertain people. And I'm just saying you have to walk a fine line with this because if you don't know what you're talking about, you're going to get crickets or you're going to get called out and somebody's going to say, hey, oh man, you don't know what you're talking, you don't know what you're talking about. So it's like joining the hot party, the hit party. Getting VIP, you got to get in. You got to know the secret handshake, the secret whatever, or you have to look the part, dress the part. You know what I mean? Or else you're not getting in.
Mm-hmm. Or just admit that you're the chaperone and act like one.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Stop trying to party with everybody.
You could do that too. That's what I'm saying. If your generation, if your generation is the boomers, then that's a different flow. It's a different vibe and trend.
Yeah, and
they also have their own language. Everybody.
Exactly.
You can see this with commercials that talk about that are geared toward boomers. What are they about? They're about retirement. They're about health. They're about there's one I saw one now.
Vacations.
Right. I saw a commercial about there's a vaccine for shingles, but that's attached to a certain generation. So the way that they made the commercial appeal to that generation, it didn't appeal to Gen Z and Gen Y because they're like, what? We're not in that age group. So see how I saw the commercial and it was geared towards that group. It spoke to them. So that's what you have to do. It has to speak to that group. So you can join the party. You can get into VIP. You just got to know the secret language, handshake, the knock, whatever, whatever they're saying. And then you can get in. So, but we're going to talk more about this. I've got some examples coming up in the next half hour when you join me over on Terry Johnson Online. I hope you do. And I think it's a very interesting topic. It's something that nostalgia marketing has been around for a while. It's just that coming out of the pandemic and being in lockdown, everybody's really got a taste for things that evoke a safer time.
For before. And you know what? It reminds me of when you were talking about how the Roaring '20s, how people were just excited for the war to be over
Yes.
and for things to go back to the way they were. And what was
Yes.
the most popular song for New Year's? Happy Days Are Here Again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
here's where you can follow TJ over here, and you can find her in the next
Terry
half an
Johnson
hour
online.
there, and you
Yes.
can find her at Terry Johnson Online, which is scrolling
Live.
down there across the screen for those of you
Right.
who are on
You can go to the BizChick
Clubhouse.
group.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to the BizChick group. You can go to the BizChick page. There's a post there. You have to click on the post when you
To
go to
see.
the BizChick page or the group because it has to open up. And that way I'll see your comments. Otherwise, I won't see your comments. I've seen some people commenting on the post. That's how Facebook works. If you're going to Facebook, you have to click on the video.
Okay.
Otherwise, your comment is in a post on the page and I don't get to see it until after. Okay.
And then you think you're being ignored, but you're not.
Right. I'm not ignoring you. I just don't see it because you have to click on the post. So I meant to put that note in there to click on the post. Okay. So what does everybody think about nostalgia marketing?
Let me ask you this. What would you like to see in terms of nostalgia as a viewer out and Tachi and those of you in the audience? What would you want to see pictures of, or what kind of music? Who's your favorite artist? Or
right. See, most of the time with that, it's the generation when you were a teen. When you were young and you're a teen, because it evokes happy memories. Or it could be as an adult.
Yep, because I know, as a boomer, my favorite memories as far as music is concerned is Motown. Anything from Motown.
Okay, there you go.
All the words. I would know all yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. It's just that the 90s is the hot featured trend, but you could do this for any generation. You just have to know. So for baby boomers, it's definitely Motown. Definitely, without a doubt. Anything from that era, the 70s, the 60s, and the 70s. When you use that music in content and you see it in commercials, I see it all the time on TV. I'm like, oh, I know that song. I my mom, whatever.
Everybody knows My Girl or Rockin' Robin or
Diana Ross, the Supremes. When you use it, and if you can use it, because some, most of the stuff is copyrighted, but if you can use some of the voice and terms and feelings and write the copy to evoke that. Hey, remember when Diana Ross the Supreme was #1 with this song and that and that and that? It will connect with people.
And I see Linda using this often. Linda Nance used to use this often. Music from like Gladys Knight and pictures of different icons.
Yeah, because you can share, when you're doing content, you can share. There's plenty of videos on YouTube where you can share that era's music, and they have videos. You can share the video. See, you can talk about it and then say, remember this, da, 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 and then tie it in to what you're doing with your business or your brand. It always has a tie in. Now, always try to tie it in with your business, your brand, or a popular hashtag or what's trending. Now you can check Google Trends. I think I said this a couple times. You can check Google Trends. It's a website, Google Trends, 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 and you can see what people are talking about right now, what is popular. So you always want to try to tie it in. Also Twitter. I love using Twitter for that too. So, both of those things you can use. Okay.
I'm making a note, right?
All right, so we got to continue this conversation. Like I said, I've got some more examples. We're going to talk about Burger King. We're going to talk about Fleetwood Mac and all that stuff, because there's content tied into this. It's good to think about it, but there's content tied in.
I want to say this because I saw this morning, TJ. I know. You got to go. Okay. I want to say this real quick. I saw that they made a statue of Marilyn Monroe from the movie. I think something about
some like a not something like a hot. The one with the dress in the subway.
Yes, and there's a lot of controversy about the fact that her underwear is showing and it's misogynist and that. So when you're using nostalgia, be culturally sensitive. That's all I want to say.
Yes, you have to be culturally sensitive, and you have to, and I always say, have a thick skin, because everybody, there's going to be detractors. There's going to be a troll. There's going to be somebody. You can have the most innocent post about anything, rainbows
Exactly.
and unicorns, and somebody will come along and try to throw mud on it and be mean and do troll and say trollish things. And I say, ignore them. Say what you got to say and keep moving.
Keep it moving.
Yeah.
All right, TJ. We want to remind everybody to go to the front of your own line. We'll see you here tomorrow. In the meantime, we want you to follow Terry over Terry Johnson online.live. Follow her over to continue this conversation. We want to give a shout out to everybody in Clubhouse, and thank you everybody who's watching on the replay. And we'll see you here tomorrow for Profits in Daily with Coach Karen Fern here on BizChicks.live. Bye-bye.